Today, we're diving straight into a high-level executive briefing on the transition from PMBOK 7 to PMBOK 8. We're zeroing in on a really pivotal, highly strategic part of the framework update, so let's get right into it.
If you've been following along, you know we just wrapped up the 6 principles. Well, today we're making the jump into the 7 performance domains, and we're placing a massive spotlight on governance and stakeholders. If you're a strategy pro, an auditor, or prepping for that PMP exam, this explainer is basically custom-built to give you the exact details you need on the shift towards streamlining and strict audit compliance.
Here's our strategic roadmap for today. We'll start with the PMBOK 8 strategic evolution. Move into the 7 performance domains. Take a deep dive into the governance domain upgrade. Explore the integrated stakeholder ecosystem. And finally, wrap things up with some practical strategy application.
So our journey today maps out a move from the macro-level context, like why did these domains actually change, all the way down into the practical governance and audit implications. And keep this in the back of your mind as we go. The entire focus of PMBOK's restructuring revolves around a clear executive mandate. We're talking strategy, fiduciary responsibility, and auditability. That is the core of it all.
All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, the PMBOK's 8 strategic evolution.
You can really think of this streamlining process like a giant funnel. You know, PMBOK 7 had 8 domains, and frankly, there was some noticeable overlap there. By removing development approach as a standalone domain and treating it more as a strategic prerequisite from the get-go, the framework suddenly yields these highly focused, practical, and truly auditable performance areas. This is a total game changer because it directly enables standardized reporting structures across projects. It makes performance tracking so much easier for both auditors and senior leadership.
Moving right along, let's hit Section 2, the 7 performance domains. When you look at the contrasting data structures here, auditors and PMB examinees get this incredibly crisp view of the evolution. We've distilled PMBOK 7's 8 domains down to 7 clear hitters: governance, stakeholders, scope, schedule, finance, resources, and risk. Notice what happened to the old team domain. It actually got completely absorbed. The behavioral aspects moved into principles, and the logistical side moved into resources. This reallocation is absolutely crucial because it removes all that previous ambiguity. It creates a laser focus on delivery and oversight by splitting human behavior right down the middle from logistical resourcing.
So, what's the big takeaway here? It's really that critical connection where mindset meets logistics. Think of it this way. Your 6 principles define how you behave as a leader, right? But these 7 performance domains define what you're actually working on. Together, they create this incredibly powerful, continuous cycle for strategic execution. Your proactive, value-driven mindset from the principles is now literally guiding every single decision you make inside these logistical domains.
Okay, Section 3, the governance domain upgrade. This is a big one.
For the senior leaders tuning in, this is arguably the strongest upgrade in the entire PMBOK 8 framework. The governance domain finally, and I mean finally, bridges that lingering gap between project delivery on the ground and true organizational accountability. How? Well, through direct integration of project oversight with corporate strategy, much clearer fiduciary responsibility, and, crucially, the built-in integration of ESG criteria: environmental, social, and governance. This domain is the literal glue connecting tactical work to the strategic promises you're making in the boardroom. And here's a quick pro tip for the auditors out there. This domain directly strengthens objectivity and independence in your project reviews. It improves standardized reporting and tracking across the board while massively supporting enhanced fiduciary responsibility. That is an absolute must-have if you're dealing with public finance or strategic procurement. The new structure basically hands you exactly what you need to assess if a project is genuinely aligned with your organizational controls.
To sum that up, the bottom line truth here is that demonstrating control and compliance is now built directly into the framework itself. You don't have to scramble retroactively to force a project to look auditable. If you're simply following the governance domain as it's prescribed in PMBOK 8, that assurance and accountability, it's already baked right into your daily operations.
Let's shift gears a bit and move to Section 4, the integrated stakeholder ecosystem. This area represents a massive shift from just managing people toward cultivating a holistic value creation ecosystem. In the past, we often saw this hub-and-spoke model, where a project manager just kind of directionally managed stakeholders at arm's length. Not anymore. PMBOK 8 introduces a highly interconnected ecosystem where you are actively integrating them. Remember the holistic view principle we covered in earlier explainers? This ties directly back to that. By viewing stakeholders as an interconnected web, you prevent those dangerous, siloed risks and drive true value co-creation, where stakeholders are actually participating in the success of the project.
And yes, there is a very tangible governance benefit to this shift too. By integrating stakeholders, rather than just, managing them from afar, you directly reduce stakeholder-related audit findings. You're going to see much better expectation management, way fewer scope changes driven by neglected stakeholders, and just a completely smoother path to delivering true organizational value.
All right, let's bring it all home with Section 5, Practical Strategy Application. For the strategy pros and steering committees listening, here are 3 actionable steps that are essentially your mandate for turning all this theory into measurable execution. Number 1, actively apply the governance domain in your steering committees and board reporting to guarantee alignment. Number 2, start using the stakeholders domain combined with triple bottom line thinking. That means really considering the social, environmental, and financial impacts to capture true ecosystem value. And number 3, link both of these domains directly back to the 6 principles. Doing that ensures your team's behavior remains consistent, measurable, and totally auditable.
Now, a quick note for our public sector leaders. These domains are designed to integrate seamlessly with your existing strategic procurement frameworks and public finance standards. The really clean, structured approach of PMBOK 8 means you can map these domains directly onto strict government compliance requirements without any friction. It is literally a perfect fit for environments that demand the highest levels of rigorous accountability.
As we wrap up this part of the explainer, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought to chew on as you look at your own reporting structures. How will your organization leverage the PMBOK 8 governance domain to permanently bridge the gap between project delivery and executive accountability? The framework has handed us the bridge, right? But the real question is, how quickly and effectively will your organization choose to cross it? Think about how you can take these structured concepts we unpacked today and present them to your own C-suite to drive real, tangible change.
Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this deep dive into the governance and stakeholders domains has given you a clear strategic advantage. Make sure to follow along for part 5 of our series, where we're going to get into the weeds of the core delivery mechanisms: scope, schedule, and finance. Until then, take these insights, start building those auditable, value-driven ecosystems, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Learning reinforcement.
If you've ever tried tracking performance metrics using the PMBOK 7 framework, you've likely hit the same wall as internal auditors. The 8 performance domains overlap. When responsibilities bleed into multiple categories, proving compliance becomes a fragmented, tangled process. PMBOK 8 addresses this by restructuring the framework from those 8 overlapping zones into 7 distinct pillars. This alignment creates the boundaries necessary for standardized reporting across an organization. The framework operates on a strict division between internal mindset and external execution. The 6 principles define your behavioral standards as a leader, while the 7 performance domains serve as your structural blueprint. These domains are the specific areas where you apply that leadership mindset to operational focus and project delivery. By pairing consistent behavioral principles with these targeted domains, the framework becomes predictable and highly auditable. If you are moving from the previous edition, you will notice the development approach is no longer an active performance domain. Instead, it slides underneath the framework to act as a strategic prerequisite that you define before execution begins. The team domain has also been redistributed. Its core functions dissolve into these 6 principles, which govern team behavior, and the resources domain, which handles team logistics. This leaves a refined configuration of 7 areas: governance, stakeholders, scope, schedule, finance, resources, and risk. This consolidation eliminates redundant reporting, allowing senior leaders to track project delivery metrics without the data bleeding into overlapping categories. Within this new list, governance has been significantly strengthened. It has moved away from general oversight toward a focus on objective independence and corporate alignment. The domain now explicitly mandates that you integrate corporate strategy and ESG, environmental, social, and governance criteria, into project decision-making. This creates a direct link between project choices and organizational goals. At the peak of the domain is an increased focus on fiduciary responsibility. For those in public finance or strategic procurement, this provides the specific mechanism needed to demonstrate financial control and accountability. This strengthened domain serves as a bridge, connecting day-to-day project delivery directly to executive-level organizational accountability. The stakeholders domain has seen a similar shift. Instead of managing stakeholders from a distance, they are now integrated into the project ecosystem. This integration supports the holistic view principle, allowing the project team to identify siloed risks early and co-create value with key partners. Consider a practical scenario. A public finance project is hit with an unexpected environmental objection from a community group, just as a compliance audit is scheduled. Pause the video here. Which two PMBOK 8 domains must interact to resolve this specific crisis? To resolve this, you use the stakeholders domain to bring the group to the table, then feed that resolution into the governance domain to update the ESG compliance report for the auditors. Recognizing the interaction between these specific domains is a highly effective way to prevent stakeholder-related audit findings. For strategy professionals, these domains provide a framework to structure your steering committee updates and board reporting. Applying triple bottom line thinking, tracking financial, social, and environmental metrics, provides the specific oversight data that boards and auditors use to verify project health. Mastering these two domains is essential because they establish the strategic environment for all project execution. With oversight established, we can move into the delivery domains. In Video 5, we will focus on the planning areas of scope, schedule, and finance. Subscribe and continue the series to complete the auditable framework for the 2026 PMP update.